well wired up, and I don't know why, but I hope you're able to hear me at the back. Great. So my name is Supratik Bhattacharya, and for the sake of ease, just call me Supratik. That's simple. And I work for a company called RPG Group. Hi. And like all of you, what we are also doing is, consistently thinking in terms of how the future is going to look like. I wish we had a crystal ball, but we're talking about the future of work. We are talking about how can we really shape the future. And I know that some of you will probably raise your hand and say that, why is that illusion of control, Supratik? And I will take that with a jibe. But we're tending to ask ourselves some very uncomfortable questions, let me put it this way. Right. There is almost everything that's being done by technology today. Whether it's coming to managing my mailbox by Copilot or taking interviews through AI. People are even filling up their performance appraisal forms I've seen through ChatGPT. I was quite hassled, but that's what is happening, right? So almost everything is done by technology. Then the question that we start ending up asking ourselves is, what is going to be the differentiator if technology is doing everything? What is going to be the differentiator between you and the other company, your competitors, or somebody else in this world? Yeah. So we keep talking about that. We don't have an answer, or probably we do. The other thing that we've figured out, and I think that's a fairly valuable thing that we figured out, is that, it is not those dashboards anymore that's going to make a difference. Okay? It's not the attrition dashboard. It's not going to be how much our succession planning is working out. I don't think it is going to be about any of those fancy dashboards, colorful stuff that we are very fond of making. Right? The world is actually moving to a completely new framework. Yeah. And that framework is, more and more, there is a shift of people talking away from ROI of everything. I think there is a shift. People are stopping to talk about ROI of every individual thing, but are talking in terms of what is going to be the return of investment on that we will get as an organization on customer experience and employee experience. And that, friends and colleagues, is what I call the return of experience, right? This, to my mind, is what we have to get right. And let me just walk across a few other slides on that, right? Now, like all of you, we all know this. We have to talk about our customers, right? We have to talk about, are we making enough money, right? Is my customer happy? Is my customer engaged? Are my returns increasing? We are talking about farming, we're talking about hunting and everything, right? Like all of us do that, right? One good thing that started to happen is we started to see, can customer experience drive those things? Can the final N=1 customer experience, can it improve my profits? Can it give me more money, right? I come from RPG, as I said, and one of our companies, let's say, CET. What we do is, we are trying to design everything that we do based on what the N=1 customer wants. We sell tires. You'll buy a tire once in 3 years. How are you going to remember us after 3 years or 4 years? So the way we manufacture the product, the way we pack the product, the way we ship the product, the way we sell the product, the way we'll service the product, we're trying to keep that N=1 customer experience in mind. Another company, Case International, you may have seen those Eiffel Tower-looking structures on which those wires pass. We build those structures, transmission towers. Mr. Jacob was here some time back. So we are into the similar business. Now, anytime we do a project execution, one small pin that is missing, the project delay will go on to the into millions of dollars, right? So you're using technology to ensure that everything is in place at the last moment so that our project can go on. Zensar is a technology company where we are trying to trying to create technology to help the customer experience at the last point, right? So finally, all of us are doing that. We're talking about customer experience. Now my question is, who is it that's providing or designing that customer experience? And what would happen if those people who are designing that customer experience actually got a similar experience from wherever? What sort of a magic would that be creating? What is it that we can do to enhance the employee experience today, which finally will lead to that customer experience, right? That's the question that I think we have come to be asking ourselves. Now, how do we go on to create experiences that matter to people? Yeah? How do we move on from designing policies to creating moments that matter, for example, right? That's when magic happens. But the moment you don't do that, when the art and science splits, I think the magic dies. You can't be keeping on talking about technology of product and services. That doesn't make the product or service better. You can't keep talking about efficiency or sufficiency of your workforce. That doesn't make your workforce great. Yeah? I think we have to do something entirely different, right? And today is the age of AI. Yes, I did, the first time Business World reached out to me, they talked about technology. You have to talk in terms of technology. Today is the age of digital, AI. But honestly, I believe yes, but this is truly a human age. It is a human age. Things are changing, and the world of work has changed. Technology is evolving faster than we can keep pace with, right? We are upskilling people. Many times you're asked a question that, how are you upskilling people? I honestly don't know. I upskill people, technology has changed, right? So talent is more fluid, right? It's more demanding, more purposeful than ever. We keep talking about expectations, but you know what? Expectations are not rising. I'm confident. Expectations have already risen. They're up there. Okay. Right? We keep talking about Gen Z, right? Now, at RPG, we did a Gen Z survey. We honestly did a full-blown survey of the Gen Zs to figure out what do they want, right? We figured out in different cities, different layers of cities to figure out what is it that the Gen Zs are talking about. Because finally, we have to get them in, right? They're going to replace us. And believe me, they are not talking about ping pong tables. They are not talking about beanbags in the office. They are talking about purpose, honestly. They are talking about leadership that listens. Yeah. So they're talking about trust. They're saying that, trust me. Can you? Okay. So the problem with, by the way, if you want to know about that survey that we did, you can click on it, and you will get the entire Gen Z survey that we did. But with a word of caution, whenever I have tried to use technology, I have failed miserably, so I don't know whether that works. Okay? Great. So now, I was talking about return on investments and then return on experience, right? The problem of only talking about return of investment is we end up measuring return of investment alone. What you measure is what you get, right? And then you miss out on the larger thing called experience. So the question is, do we need a new lens? A new lens, anyone? Here's some research. Those companies who have focused on experience, they're saying that they can charge a premium of 16% for their products and services. I'm not saying this. Big guys are saying it. Okay. 25% of these companies, companies that provide a great employee experience, they say they are 25% more profitable than the others. Who says that? MIT, not me. All right. I just talked about a few things that we do in the companies, right? We all do. We do, for example, onboarding. Onboarding is not a checklist. It's a first impression, right? A promotion isn't a transaction. It's a trust signal. Okay. A tech tool that all of us are talking about isn't just a functionality. It's either a friction or a flow, correct? So, the reason I'm focusing on here is because that's where the future is going to be. Sometime back, it was music to my ears when Shashikant talked about human experience, right? Shashikant talks about, just in a panel discussion before, he talked about, I would believe that we need to give that human experience. So ROX is the way of measuring the real impact that your organization goes through, and it is about how your people are feeling that organization. All right? So it is not about whether the process works. It is how the process feels. You can have a fancy thing happening. It is not about how fancy it is. It is about how does it feel to your employees. Okay? Now, I keep hearing that technologies will keep doing all this mundane work like managing your mailbox and all of the stuff that I just talked about, like filling up your performance appraisal form, etc. Right? Then the question is, what is it that we are left to do with? Okay? So, a few things that I felt was designing our job is now more and more to become design experiences. That has to be because it builds belonging. And I'll give you some quick examples here. Now, creating culture where feedback fuels growth. How many of us are actually talking about performance appraisal season? And I'm talking about it simply because the season has just passed. How many of us have actually talked about a performance appraisal as a tool that is not just about what happened in the past, but it's about how are you going to do in the future? How many of us are actually talking about what phenomenal experience have I given to my people so that that person is ready for the next year? To me, performance appraisal, that's what it has to be in the future. Okay. Now, Shashikant also talked about another thing. I don't know if you noticed. He said, finally it ends up saying that kitna doge. Did you hear that? Right? And that's what I sort of say. That's a state of mind. It's about what's in it for me. You do employee engagement surveys because you figure out whether your employees are engaged or not. But your highly engaged employee will also leave if he or she is not heard. If you have a top talent program, all of us have, but if a top talent is still going to leave, if the top talent is not seen or burnt out before you realize. All right? Now, what we get is the thing when we talk about engagement. What's in it for me? What will you do? I'll take up the job, but what's in it for me? Yesterday, I was actually spending time with one of my acquaintances who's a entrepreneur, and he spent a whole day with me talking about his business and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that he said, and actually it hit me hard, was, he said that one of my general managers at my plant is leaving after working with us for 16 years. He has got some family problems. He has to leave, all right? So difficult to find that kind of a skill set. I need at least 6 months to get that person a replacement. But what that person has done? He has formed a focus group within his team, proactively saying that when I leave, you four will have to do these things because this organization has to go on. That person is leaving, by the way. So that's not what we get. What we are talking about, how do we go to that stage where we are saying what we are willing to give? That, friends and colleagues, is experience. Yeah? When we redesigned our onboarding to focus on connection, we figured that instead of compliance, we figured that time to productivity was far higher. When we gave tools to our managers to explain the vision and mission of the company, we figured that alignment soared. Yeah? When we've created flexible growth journeys for our people, our attrition levels dropped. When I see, for example, we just, for the sake of the benefit of the group here, we just launched something which we call the Opportunity Marketplace, where we're saying that everything that we do within the organization, even if it's a short-term project, it has to be there. And now, for example, if I have a need, development need which says that Supratik needs to get some understanding of supply chain, all right? Then the AI engine will throw up those opportunities to me and my boss, and I start getting engaged in those things. So our attrition dropped. Our internal mobility has gone up, all right? So this is as mathematical as I could get, all right? I mean, it's on the slide. You could just take it through, go through. It effectively is just talking about how ROX can drive a virtuous cycle, right? Now, friends and colleagues, I don't want to just drag on. I just want to say just 2-3 things here. One is HR is not a function. It's a force. I think so. This is, by the way, I'm not a core HR person. I've not done HR like all of you have, but this is what I feel. Yeah, we are not a department of policies. We are an experience design studio. Think of it that way. You just want to shift your thing a bit. We have to be an experience design studio. Yeah, we must move from being process managers to emotion architects. I'm using these words, and I mean them. All right. Now, that, I think, is the work that's going to define the next generation of the work that we do. Because as much as we say this is, the age of AI, age of digital, in this grand design, friends, I think the most powerful force is you. But the good news, nobody's talking about it much. So tomorrow may not be the day when your investors will start tough questions on ROX. All right. Now, you can rest. They're still going to talk about ROI. Okay? But it's really not too early to start figuring out what your answers are going to be.